There's a lot of important information that we want to get you all caught up on this morning about the pandemic.
Yes, first, we are expecting a huge announcement today from South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster. He is expected to share that some non-essential businesses could open as soon as tomorrow. And this would include department stores, music and bookstores, and flea markets. The reopenings do come with guidelines, and we'll have a full report on those in just a few minutes. Now, nationally, there is a strong push to do more testing in order to reopen the U.S. Researchers at Harvard's Global Health Institute and School of Public Health say the goal is to triple the amount of testing per day in order to have a grasp on the severity of the crisis and how to safely reopen society. Now, in just a few minutes, we're going to have the steps being taken in order to do this.
And President Trump says that a deal between the White House and congressional Democrats for an additional $300 billion to help the nation's small businesses actually could come today. Now, the Paycheck Protection Program ran out of money last week. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin expects lawmakers to come together on a proposal for this.
I'm hopeful. I think we're very close to a deal today, and I'm hopeful that we can get that done.
As of Friday, the Small Business Administration reported nearly 40,000 North Carolina businesses have been approved for those loans. That's worth about $8 billion for payroll, group health care, mortgage interest payments, rent, utilities. Now, North Carolina is actually ranked 16th highest for this funding across the country. And a harsh reality for some people in West Charlotte are being forced out of a motel in the middle of a pandemic.
Just unfathomable here. All of their stuff must be out by this evening. Our Anthony Castoria is live right along Billy Graham Parkway right now. And I mean, Anthony, they were shocked at this news. They were just told this hours ago.
That's right, Brittany. A lot of the residents we talked with say that they have nowhere to turn. And as you can imagine, they're really concerned for their health. They told us that the employees here at the Suburban Extended Stay on Billy Graham Parkway in Charlotte gave them little notice and not much of a reason. And now they need to be out by 6 o'clock tonight. When we stopped by yesterday, we saw residents packing up and hauling their stuff out. Residents told us employees knocked door to door around 8 o'clock last night to let them know the company is shutting down the entire motel. We have reached out to the motel to find out if the residents will be getting any sort of refund. Even if they do get some money back, though, a lot of people told us there are a few options on where to go next, as the state's stay-at-home order is still in effect. In the middle of a health crisis, a lot of these people don't know what their future looks like.
I don't have nowhere to go. I don't have a clue where I'm going. I'm so confused and just, I can't even describe how I'm feeling right now. I have no money or anything to just move like that. We have nowhere to go.
We're all trying to get through this, and this is just not right to put people out in the street like that.
We have done a lot of reporting about the state attorney general mandating that hotels cannot kick people out for lack of payment. This appears to be a different situation, though. Again, I want to remind you that the whole hotel is closing, and so we have reached out now to the hotel to find out more information on this, and of course we'll let you know as soon as we hear back.
All right,
Brittany?
Anthony, thank you. We've also reached out to the AG's office about this exact issue, so we'll be updating people on that as well. And Charlotte, we know, is already in the middle of an affordable housing crisis. Well, now we're getting our first look at the damage this pandemic is having on the housing market. The county released its March housing report, and the county's economists said that overall the month posted strong activity with more people buying homes than last year. But once the stay-at-home order was issued on March 26th, sales dropped off. He said that since so many lost their jobs or money in the stock market, many people will hold off buying. He said the possibility of a recession is also causing potential buyers to wait. And the report also shows a recovery could take some time, saying, quote, "We are expecting that housing market will slow significantly due to COVID-19. And as the stay-at-home order is lifted, it will take time to recover, as people will need time to recover from the financial losses." And this is all data just from March. It expects April data will show the full effect of the virus on the housing market. And just last week, we spoke with developers and realtors who said that a slowdown could be on the horizon. One developer said lenders are now tightening their belts when it comes to loaning money for new construction projects. But he believes Charlotte's market will continue to remain strong, saying that people will continue moving to the city, creating demand. And today, a controversial announcement is expected from South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster. He is expected to reopen stores that have now been shut down for weeks.
Yeah, this is a decision that's weighing public health and the health of our economy. Now, take a look at this coronavirus in South Carolina. The whirlwind executive orders to slow the spread. Now, South Carolina had its first case March 7th. Nearly a month later, on April 1st, the governor ordered the first non-essential businesses to close. Now, he expanded that to clothing, furniture, and sporting goods stores April 4th. Then he issued that stay-at-home order on the 6th. Now, tomorrow we could see some of these restrictions start to lift a bit. And today we are expecting an update on the number of cases in South Carolina. Just yesterday, they confirmed 136 new cases.
Yeah, and some think that the new order is now coming too early and will lead to more spread, and others think it's the right time. Channel 9's Aaron Edwards has reaction from both sides.
Charleston's newspaper is reporting today Governor McMaster will announce a plan that will reopen some stores like department stores and flea markets. We spoke to some people who say they're happy to hear this news, but others say they think it's too soon. Music and bookstores, florists, flea markets, and department stores may be welcoming customers again in South Carolina as early as this week. Governor Henry McMaster tweeting last night, very productive call this afternoon with southeastern governors. We discussed each state's plan to safely get folks back into the workplace, told them South Carolina was ready.
I think it's good that we're getting things back open.
I don't really support it.
But neighbors have mixed feelings. Chris Brown says he's excited to have more options to shop, but worries it's too soon.
Until they have a better, understanding on what's going on and whether or not they're starting to contain, this virus, I think they should keep things in place the way they are.
But others say they're excited to see businesses opening, and they'd like Governor McMaster to add other non-essential stores to that list, like salons and gyms.
I think it's good because it's going to boost morale and people are going to be happier.
There's a petition circulating in South Carolina right now calling for lawmakers to open hair salons. Amy Howie's petition already has 500,000 signatures.
I feel like our industry needs to be recognized as a professional industry and deemed as an essential business.
But with the number of coronavirus cases still steady in South Carolina, many are asking why the governor is making this decision now.
I mean, it's not like all the cases are gone. There's still some, and with the stores opening back up, the cases are going to rise again.
When they reopen, stores are expected to limit occupancy to 20%, and beach accesses are also expected to reopen, but social distancing will be enforced, and local governments can make their own rules about waterway accesses. Back to you.
Now, federal guidance actually recommends a downward trend of COVID-19 cases over 2 weeks before states start to reopen. We went through South Carolina's confirmed cases this month, and we found there has not been any trend up or down. We did find that this past week was the first time the number of weekly reported cases was down from the week before. There were 1,064 cases last week, down from 1,300 just the week before. Now, North Carolina reached a troubling milestone. There are now more deaths from coronavirus than this season's flu virus. The state is reporting 172 COVID-19 deaths. 167 have died during this flu season, which started back in September. There are nearly 6,500 coronavirus cases in the state, with nearly 1,200 in Mecklenburg County.
And just a few minutes ago, we told you that experts want the U.S. to triple the amount of testing in order to open the country. Well, to help out, President Trump says that he will use his authority to increase manufacturing of swabs. The Defense Production Act will help produce 10 million swabs. And today, Vice President Mike Pence is expected to have a call with governors to discuss testing all across the country.
You must remember that the governors wanted to have total control over the opening of their states, but now they want to have us, the federal government, do the testing. And again, testing is local. You can't have it both ways. Testing is a local thing.
Just last week, the White House released guidance for states to use in the reopening process. Now, before states even start a phased comeback, those guidelines recommend a downward trend of COVID-like cases and confirmed cases of the virus over a 14-day period.